Welcome to The Bottom Line. I'm Pastor Rick Utze from Maranatha Community Fellowship in Plain City, Ohio. You know, this past week, or actually a week ago, I was mowing in my ditch and I got my mower stuck. Like, it was wet enough and muddy enough, it slid. My ditch is kind of steep, the back end of my zero turn slid, got stuck on the other bank, and I'm there spinning my wheels trying to get it out. I've done this before, but I've always been able to get it out. I go get some boards, put it under, get enough traction, pull it out. Well, this time I was out there, it was hot, I was using boards, I went and got my wife's help, she was on the mower, I was trying to push, I was breaking boards, I was doing this. It wasn't working. And then I had a good neighbor from down the road a ways. He must have seen me, because who carries a big chain in the back of a nice car, right? So he stopped, he opened the trunk, he pulled out this chain, and he says, "It looks like you've been at this a while." And I'm like, "Yeah, how can you tell?" By all the sweat pouring down my face and the frustration that probably showed. Anyway, he just hooked up that chain to the mower, hooked it to his car, pulled me right along the ditch till I got out, and it was just like that in a minute, right? When the mower was connected to power through the kindness of a neighbor who didn't walk to the other side of the road when he saw me. He came back, he helped, and I was thinking about that, being chained to power and who Jesus is, right? Because depending on who we think Jesus is, depends on whether we think we're going to try and anchor ourselves to him. And I was reading an article that talked about Jesus, and how this one theologian thought that Jesus really, when he was here on earth, he really didn't walk on water. He was just trying to come up with ways that these biblical supernatural things happened without there actually being the supernatural. And he claimed that when Jesus, walked on the water and the disciples saw him, he was really along the shore, and it was right along the shore when he was walking on the water. And so there was no trouble walking on this water. It just had the illusion. And I really like what the article said. It says, because in Matthew 14 it describes this, and it says, he was walking on the water, and here in verse 28 says, "Lord, if it's you," Peter answered, "command me to come to you on the water." And he said, "Come." And climbing out of the boat, Peter started walking on the water and came towards Jesus. But when he saw the strength of the wind, he was afraid, and beginning to sink, he cried out, "Lord, save me." And immediately Jesus reached out his hand, caught a hold of him, and said to him, "You of little faith, why do you doubt?" And he pulled him out of the water. And I like what the person, and I don't even remember where, I wish I could remember where I read this, but he said, you know what? Peter was a fisherman. And certainly Peter, as a fisherman, would have known how to walk on the shore by the water. Like, he was not sinking in the sand when Jesus pulled him out. So I just, Peter knew who Jesus was. Matter of fact, 2 chapters later, Jesus asked the disciples, "Who do men say that I am?" And they were saying John the Baptist or Jeremiah or Elijah. Good men, faithful men, but men. And Jesus says, "Who do you say that I am?" And Peter said, "You're the Messiah." And, because Peter was beginning to understand truly that he was the deliverer, the redeemer, the one who'd come to save Israel, the one who came to save the world from their sins. And after the resurrection, the disciples walked after. They anchored themselves to Jesus Christ. I mean, they knew who he was. They were changed. They were transformed. They were like, we're not going to just do this on our own. In the difficulties of life, because they had difficulties, they relied on Jesus, who they knew had extraordinary power to help them through. So it matters who we think Jesus Christ is. Jesus had something to offer to the disciples that the world couldn't. Here's the bottom line. I wonder if the Church of Jesus Christ, the followers of Jesus Christ who claim to anchor themselves and hopefully attach themselves and tether themselves to Jesus Christ, have something to offer to the world that they can't get anywhere else. So let's be followers of Jesus and understand who he is, and take that and proclaim it to the world that we do indeed have a risen Savior. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time on The Bottom Line.